There's something very interesting about this world, how we have a limited time on this earth, and we can't do all the things that we truly want to do in this world. You may want to be an artist, you may want to be a painter, you may even want to be an amateur geologist, just going out there in the world and just trying to discover different types of things. You may just want to be somebody that just goes and explores the forest or explores caves or just maybe read books. Just something that doesn't require you to be forced to do things that you really don't want to do. And you see, that lets you know that whatever world we're in right now, this dimension, this reality, it's some sort of soul trap prison. When your body and your mind is telling you that something's off about this world, something's off about this dimension. I'm surrounded by individuals who don't really like me. And in a world that looks at my skin color configuration and automatically pass judgment upon me. And you got to think about that. In a good society, in a good world, you'll be able to get along with everybody around you. You'll be able to go and do what you truly love for a living. You wouldn't be trapped in a prison. You wouldn't be trapped in a system that's designed to break you. And I hear people talk about, oh, you live in a first world country and you got this and you got that. That doesn't really matter if you're somebody that's poor, when you're going through mental health conditions, when you don't have any place to live, when you're constantly under stress, when you're constantly going through all types of things, you know? And it doesn't really matter what country you're living in. Depression and truth suppression is real. But you don't have any type of support system. You don't have any economic stability. You don't have any mental stability. And your whole life is just dependent at the mercy of others. It makes you feel like a servant or some type of robot. You know, where's the freedom of expression for the soul? Where's the moments in life where you can have good memories? I know it's Christmas time, but a lot of us in this position, we're not going to have that many good memories. We don't have a girl that we can love, that we can hug, that we can make sweet love to, you know? A lot of us, all we have is maybe anime, some video games, and maybe some illicit, drugs or something like that. But no real human connection. And honestly, a lot of us, at the ages we are now, we're just not going to have no real genuine human connection. If you're over the age of 25 and you still haven't found that girl, if you're in your early 30s or even later than that and you still haven't found that good girl in your life, the chances of finding that and the chances of you actually having a meaningful relationship is over. You know, it's coming upon the year 2026, and a lot of men are in worse positions than they were 100 years ago. 100 years ago, you can get a normal job, be a normal guy, have below average looks. You can get a wife that's normal looking or even a hot wife, as long as you handle the responsibilities and all that stuff that came with being an adult then. Nowadays, man, it's very difficult to find yourself in this world where your most your most happiest moments come from things that are artificial, and you're trapped by the same artificial constructs as well, meaning that some of your greatest memories comes from watching your anime, playing your video games, stuff like that, or illicit drugs, right? But then also, some of your most worst memories come from your 9 to 5 job, comes from lack of having money, which is all artificial constructs. Wild animals out there, they don't have money yet they survive, and how they survive is devouring one another. You see? You see how parasitic this system is? This system expects you to work hard and get nothing in return. You know, you got billionaires and multimillionaires that are feeding off the oppression of the poor. You as a poor person, you as a person that doesn't have that much money, you're trying your hardest at your job every day. You give your job everything. And what does your job give you back? A paycheck. And that paycheck equates to stability. But in reality, it equates to slavery. Because whoever you get your paycheck from, you owe them your life. You owe them your existence. And you got to pay mandatory taxes. And you got to pay just to exist. Pay for your food, pay for your water, pay for this, pay for that. It's a brutal system. And then you have invisible entities, Yaldabaoth, the Demiurge, the Archons, whatever you want to call them, that feed off your negative energy, that feed off your negative emotions. Notice it's the holiday season and people are just trying to act like it's, oh, let's have a holiday cheer and this, that, and the third. And it's like, are you people crazy? Are you people insane? Look at the world. Look who's in charge of the United States. And it's not Donald Trump. Donald Trump is a puppet. Like every president is a puppet for the J words, you know? And, you know, Israel is a very powerful nation, you know? It may look small on a map, but they control all the fundamental and essential resources. When you live in a world where all of your resources that you need to survive is controlled by somebody else, what does that make you? How do we truly find human innovation? How do we truly find things that can elevate our soul? How do we truly find happiness in a world where it feels like your happiness is a mistake? It feels like you're not supposed to be happy. You're not supposed to enjoy your life. How are we supposed to enjoy our lives where our lives feel like prison? You know, every single day, man, there's something. Every single day, you have to go through emotional dilemmas. You have to go through all types of things that are designed to take away your confidence. You see, people like us, we're a rare breed, but we're a growing breed. Rare breed meaning we can see the world for what it really is. We can see through the people around us who like to cause toxic problems when they can just be humble, they can just be quiet, silent, and just leave you alone, but they can't. They hyperfixate on you, you know, they make you a target, you know, and they try to attack you verbally. But they never come to your face and directly confront you because that can lead to a physical alteration or a physical altercation, which can lead to, you know, somebody being neutralized out of this existence. But then you have to go to work every day and you're around people who they think they can just talk to you any type of way. They think they can just look at you and dissect you like some type of insect on a laboratory table. They can just look at you, judge you, and think they know you, right? That's one thing I can't really stand about this world is how you can have so much talent, but if you don't have the right type of people around you, if you got people that don't want to see you successful, it's very difficult to try to rise. It's very difficult to try to be who you really want to be in this world, especially in a world where it wants conformity. It wants everybody to be stuck in the same cycle. It wants everybody to be a type of hive mind. This is why you hear people repeating gibberish. You know, certain people are going to keep repeating whatever the government propaganda at the time is. You know, God bless America. That's one thing. It's like, okay, so you want a country that proves that it relies on military force to be blessed. And it should be changed instead of God bless America to Yaldabaoth blesses America. Because that's the God of this country. That's the God who runs it. That's the God who gives this country strength. The demiurge, the same one that feeds on negative energy. Look at the history of America. Look at the history of Rome. Look at the history of every powerful empire. And you tell me that this is something that deserves holiness or righteousness. In a world where people are starving, tens of millions of people are starving. Not everybody's going to have a happy Christmas. Not everybody's going to be able to enjoy themselves this holidays. There's some people that are homeless, me. There's some people that are going, you know, insane. There's some people that are dealing with, you know, years of isolation, years of not having no woman in rotation, years of just being mentally, physically, and spiritually obliterated. And we're supposed to just accept that. Meanwhile, you got people that have everything. They have good life. They got good health. They got a good family. They come from stability. While a lot of us come from toxic, unstable environments that leads to toxic and unstable lives. And one thing I like to talk about, man, is that whatever your passion is, I think that's your soul. your inner spirit telling you should follow that, you should go for that. Don't think that you have to be another rat in this rat race, you know, because this world is a lot deeper and and a lot more complex than what they have us to believe. Think about it, man. You're telling me there's billions and billions of people on this planet, yet everybody just thinks the same? No, people have different types of perceptions and perspectives. And you can tell which ones are right because the right ones are never popular. The right ones are never in the mainstream. The right ones are always ostracized and deemed scary, deemed fearful. The Gnostic text was hidden for a reason, you know? And a lot of Gnostics were eliminated back in the days because it showed you that true divinity and spark comes from within inside of you, not outside systems that are dependent on governing and controlling you. You know? And when people give into these holidays and these religions, you have to know there's certain spirits, certain elements that feed on this as well. You see, they feed on your negative energy, but also they feed on your praise. When you give them praise, when you give them worship, when you start to really believe in these entities and you give them a lot of power, they feed on that as well. And think about if your life had clarity, if you were living the life you really wanted. You wouldn't you experience the emotions, being mad at something, but it's not going to be as intense as when you're in a poverty position and you have to work a certain job that, you don't like. Imagine if you get to do what you always wanted for a living. You would have peace of mind. And imagine you have the girl that you always wanted, or multiple girls, and you have your sexual alleviations. That's going to take out all that sexual frustration, all that emotional degradation, because despite what people say, having intimacy relates closely to your mental health. If you're not getting frequent intimacy, your mental health is going to fail, point blank, period. You have to be getting that, some coochie and some booty. It's just what it is. And if you're not getting that, it's gonna reflect on your confidence. It's gonna reflect on your accomplishments. It's gonna reflect on a lot of things in life. And I don't know why people don't understand that. Being a lonely, isolated male in a holiday season is brutal. And being somebody that's always targeted, that's always, the blame, that's always people causing problems to you when you don't bother nobody. You just want to be left alone and continue your creative projects and endeavors. Being a talented person, somebody that actually has talent, is a threat to the system. Somebody that can see through the bull crap of the system is something that the system fears. They don't want intelligent people. All they want is people that can just obey and be obedient. They don't want you to actually have a mind of your own and actually have a soul of your own. They want to own your soul, own your mind, own your spirit, and own everything about you. And it sucks because a lot of us want to be free. A lot of us we want peace. And even in the holiday season, as people get ready for their New Year's or resolutions or whatever the hell, we don't need a New Year's resolution, whatever. We need a New Year's revolution, This government infrastructure, this system that has us all just fundamentally exhausted. You get drained every day emotionally by the people around you. If I was a multimillionaire, I would have my own house and I can control my environment. I can control my happiness. I can control my emotions more. When you have emotional, fluctuations and devastations going on around you, it's very difficult to try to control your own because energy is very effective at spreading. The energy of fear. Somebody gets scared around you or something. You're walking in the forest and they jump. You can be like, hey, what you jumping at? Just like laughter. If everybody's laughing at something, you may be inclined to laugh if you're, maybe not all the time, but if something's funny, you're like, it's kind of fun. You may do a little fake laugh or something like that. I don't like doing that fake stuff, but you know how it is in social settings because peer pressure is real. When everybody's angry, I used to experience this in football. Whenever the football coach is mad, and he gets angry, then we start people on the football team just start attacking each other. People start yelling at you, then you're yelling back, and then because the coach sets the motion. So if you have a God who's jealous and envious and insecure, it explains a lot of this misery in this world. I want a freedom revolution where people can live in a world where they can do what they love for a living and not be trapped in this spiritual, eternal, infernal prison. It's absolutely brutal and absolutely unacceptable that we face this every single day.